Good morning. It's July 9th. And before I get into the specific levels of higher consciousness, I just wanted to go over so 200 hertz of frequency is a significant jump. It's not as significant as, say, like 500 hertz to 1,000 hertz, but nonetheless. So I just wanted to focus on this a little bit. So reading from David Hawkins' Transcending the Levels of Consciousness, which is so important. Get yourself a copy of this book and get into David Hawkins' writings. It's obviously, there's a reason that there's no emphasis on it, because it really helps. It's empowering. So at the lower consciousness levels, the ego dominates. The ego dominates life based primarily on the techniques and emotions of animal survival, which are aligned with pleasure, predation, and gain. So all these lower levels that I went through, shame, guilt / hate, fear, desire, anger, these are all based on pleasure, predation, predatory nature, and gain. What can I get? As consciousness evolved over time, some animal species, as well as portions of humankind, rose to consciousness level 200, which is the major demarcation that heralds reliance on power rather than force, which is what David Hawkins' philosophy and research is all about. In human consciousness, this transition reflects the increasing influence of spiritual energy, which is transformative. Its influence is accompanied by progressive awareness and responsiveness to the energy of love, and as a result, behaviors, emotionality, and mentalizations become increasingly benign. So its influence is accompanied by progressive awareness and responsiveness to the energy of love, which is what the higher consciousness levels is all about. It's all about having a greater concern for others. And not just survival and animal energies. And as a result, behaviors, emotionality, and mentalizations, the processes of your mind, become increasingly benign. The energy of love is also aligned with progressive awareness of truth and the underlying reality from which existence and creation emerge as the evolution of both physicality and spirituality. So, maybe I should just keep reading this. While physicality and force represent evolution in its linear expressions, spiritual energy, as well as the basic energy of life itself, is non-linear and shows the contrast between form and essence. Just follow me here. This might be a little difficult to follow. The ability to distinguish between these contrasting qualities emerges as spiritual awareness and the capacity to recognize spiritual reality as truth. The capacity for survival was facilitated by intelligence, which is the quality of life consciousness that is capable of first comprehending the linear domain, and as it progresses, being able to comprehend abstract principles. So in hominids, in human beings, the evolutionary progress of this capacity was enabled by the emergence of the forebrain, which became dominant with the evolution of the bipeds. This emerging mental intelligence of cognition was primarily utilized below consciousness level 200 in the service of the animal instincts of survival, aggression, and dominance. So, in other words, below frequency level 200, it's all about survival, aggression, and dominance, which are animal instincts. So when David Hawkins talks about how 85% or higher of the world's population is below 200, functions below 200 hertz, that's what it means. 85% of the world's population operates through animal instincts of survival, aggression, and dominance. And everything you see on YouTube, everything in social media is to produce fear, is to produce desire, sexual instincts, desire, fear, anger. That's why you have videos that are rage bait, because they target your anger, these animal instincts, which as humanity we have to get out of this realm. It was therefore subservient to the limited linearity of form. As consciousness evolved over level 200, the energy of life and awareness became progressively aligned with the non-linear realities. The non-linear realities of love, benevolence, and the search for spiritual truth. It is only at level 200 that the intrinsic worth of others becomes a reality. Now, understand that. It is only at level 200 that the intrinsic worth of others becomes a reality. And your mind starts functioning with non-linear realities of love, benevolence, which is goodwill toward others, as opposed to malevolence, which is doing harm to others, and the search for spiritual truth. And as I said in the previous video, this isn't about finding a religion or finding Jesus or finding Christianity or finding Allah or Muslim. So the capacity to recognize and comprehend truth is concordant with the levels of consciousness as reflected not only in the evolution of brain anatomy, but more importantly also by changes in the physiology of the human brain and its prevalent patterns of processing information. These in turn depend on underlying unseen spiritual energy fields. In humans, critical and profound changes occur in the brain's physiology and patterns of processing information as consciousness level 200. Okay. I'm going to break this into sections because I think it's important to read directly from the book. So this describes below consciousness level 200. The left brain is dominant in information processing. Now this gets into right brain versus left brain function. The left brain is dominant in information processing. Input is directly processed via the relay centers in the thalamus to the emotional instinctual centers, the amygdala, via a fast track, and only belatedly from the prefrontal cortex via a slower track. Thus, emotional response occurs before intelligence and cognition have a chance to modify the response. So this is important, again, and this is why I'm reading directly from the book. So emotional response occurs before intelligence and cognition have a chance to modify the response. The memory of an event is stored in the hippocampus region of the brain as learning and for recall. This left brain process is akin in function to the animal brain, in that it is directed toward personal survival, and thus, in the human, it subserves the ego. It subserves the ego, because the ego just wants to warp reality. And we all have the ego. As I said maybe in previous videos, the ego is the genetic defect in the human race. It's a genetic defect that we have to rise above. From this orientation, others, including family or tribal pack members, are seen primarily as objects or means to personal survival. Also of great importance is that the information supplied by the delayed input of intelligence from the prefrontal cortex is not only slower to reach the response center, but when it does, it has already become subordinated to the previously elicited emotional response. Thus, the intellect becomes primarily a tool of animal drives and self-serving goals. Subsequent responses are therefore primitive, survival-oriented, and routed through the fight or flight patterns with their neural hormonal consequences, such as release of cortisone or adrenaline, that in turn stress the physiology of the acupuncture and immune systems. I'm just going to read a little bit more. This left brain self-centered response system is accompanied by the transitory weakening of the body's musculature and a negative or weak muscle response, which is what this research is all about. That these lower energies below 200 hertz actually weaken your muscles. It's scientifically proven. The body's energy system, however, quickly recovers and restores the acupuncture balance so that the overall energy system is again poised for the next stimulus response cycle. The stress reaction patterns were described by Hans Selye, Selye, as follows. alarm reaction, stage of resistance, stage of exhaustion, and physiological impairment. So left brain dominance is also reflected by limited or even non-existent spiritual awareness, since it is programmed for animal survival. This is what we need to understand. We're greater. Human beings are, in the face of all the negative, I don't know. Humans are greater than animals. We're evolved greater than animals. We're not better than animals, but animals perform on a 2D existence as far as like second density. They function for animal survival. So left brain dominance is also reflected by limited or even non-existent spiritual awareness, since it is programmed for animal survival. The memories of this sequence of events are stored in the brain's region of the hippocampus. Thus, later recall will reawaken memory of the sequence as it is contextualized by the ego's primitive survival goals and techniques. Memories are therefore negatively emotionalized and stored along with fear, anxiety, anger, resentment, or pleasure of gain. So I'm going to take a break there. I think that's a lot. And I'm going to start describing above consciousness level 200. And yeah, I'm laboring through this because it's important. And this is all just, I've been looking at Chuck Swindoll's ongoing research, and he's getting into in addition to this, the levels of consciousness. There's also different densities. There's 1D density, there's 2D density, there's 3D density, which is us as human beings, as physical human beings. We exist on a 3. Now, 2D and 3D, I don't think refer to dimensions, but it's more density, spiritual density. And I don't understand the whole thing, but it goes all the way up to 7D density. 4D density is outside of physicality, which is in the realm of the controllers, the controllers of the non-physical entities. Yeah. But plants and animals exist more on a 2D density level, which is why I'm laboring over this, because the human race needs to evolve and grow in density and get out of this physical animal survival realm that they're intentionally being locked into. We need to wake up. We need to raise our frequency levels. So anyways, that's all for today. And I'm going to continue on this hopefully tomorrow.